Hello, and welcome to the Bearded Hermit. It's been a cold 2 weeks here in the UP of Michigan. I had 2-inch foam board delivered, drive it back to the A-frame, and stack them inside. I ripped down 2x4s in the workshop to make 2x2s. I start framing out the kitchen and bathroom walls, building the door jamb and a place to put the wood-burning stove. I load up all the 2x2s and bring them back to the cabin, installing them on the A-frame posts. I wrap a chain around the bundles of foam board. They're 4-foot by 8-foot sheets. 20 sheets wrapped together are light and easy to fit on the tractor bucket. I drive them the 200 yards back into the woods and start carrying them into the cabin. It was a real cold and windy day, about -5 Fahrenheit. I'm bundled up real good, but my nose and face can only stand the wind and cold for so long. Eventually, I'll need to get inside and warm up by the fire, but only when the job is done. I find a nice corner inside the cabin to stack all the foam board. I hope it'll be out of the way, but you never know. Let's see what happens. For safety, I should be putting up railings on both decks, but for now, I'm leaving them off to bring all my building materials inside. It's just easier that way. And I broke off the end of this sheet, but that's okay. I'll trim it off square and still use it for something. Feels good to get all that put away and not let it get buried under a ton of snow. Well, finally all that insulation board is in. Wasn't too bad, but it's a big pile of them here, so I got to get moving on this. I also had some 2x4s delivered. I bring them into the workshop to root them in half on the table saw. These will get screwed into the A-frame posts and will hold all the paneling that fits between the posts. Well, I brought in all the 2x4s. There's about 40 of them right here. And I'll be ripping them down on the table saw here to make 2x2s. And then I have to bring them out to the house and start screwing them all up on the posts. Whew. So I got a fire going here. And it's still a little chilly out here with that big door being open, but it'll warm up real quick. And I'll get to sawing them. The table saw makes short work of all this lumber. In my opinion, making 2x2s from 2x4s is definitely the way to go. Store-bought 2x2s are never straight, and as long as you use them quickly, they should be good. The hardest part is stacking the 2x2s and not having them fall on the floor. This workshop has a vacuum system, but it's not connected to this table saw. That's a project for the future, to get a hose put on to collect all the chips and dust. Well, I got all 40 2x4s ripped down to make 80 2x2s here. And, you know, the problem with 2x2s is they start to warp up a little bit. There's not much to keep them straight, but I'll start to use them here in the next day or two. And they'll get screwed up along the both sides of the 6x6 beams, so the screws will keep them all straight. So I'm not worried about that. But it's getting late. Figured I'd go in about now. I think Con wants to go in too. Hey, buddy. Oh, look at you. All right, let's go in. The next day, I move into the cabin to frame up the kitchen and bathroom walls. This wall splits the floor space right in half. That makes the bathroom over 9 feet wide, but some of that gets lost in the roof line, and I'll use that space for storage. This wall is not load-bearing, so I space the 2x4s at 24 inches on center. But this wall still sits under the 6x6 beams that make the loft bedroom, so it'll offer some support for that floor from bouncing around when I'm up there. I stand the wall up and hammer it into position, making sure it's straight and level. And finally screw it down to the floor and up into the beams. This wall lines up with the center beam of the cabin under the floor, so it's fully supported. Now for the end wall of the bathroom. With all the goofy angles of the roof, I'm building it in place, not on the floor. I build the door jamb as close to the wall as possible because next to this door will be the spiral staircase and it'll need all the extra space I can make. Well, right in the middle of building this wall here, this is the east wall of the bathroom, and I've got, I'm making the doorway right here. I'll eventually cut out that 2x4 there and run the flooring right through. But battery's running low. I gotta go in and get a new battery. But wall's coming along pretty good. Fitting right underneath this overhead beam.
The door jamb gets a double stud on each side, but this last one has like a 63-degree angle, so I end up cutting it like 4 times before it fits. It reminds me of the old saying, I cut it 3 times, but it still is too short. Finally, it goes in and fits like a glove. I cut and install the top of the jamb and start measuring for the horizontal pieces to meet the wall. These help manage the sideways stress of the A-frame from the wind.
Well, it's getting late tonight. I finished up the door frame, so I have a double stud on each side, framed out the top, and I have to put in my horizontal pieces here. Cut the first one, so that's gonna kind of fit here like so. But yeah, it's getting late tonight and I'm getting tired, so I am going in. The fire's getting low here, and I'll just let it go out.
Next day, I'm back at it. I cut the top and bottom 2x4 for this angled wall. This wall will hold all the brick from behind the wood-burning stove, so I make these studs at 16 on center. I cut all the 2x4s to height and screw them together. I finally get it standing up and hammer it into position. This wall spans the distance between the 2 overhead beams, giving everything a little more strength.
Well, I got this angled wall put up. It's hard to see here, but basically we've got an 8-foot wall coming down here on the kitchen side, and then a about 4.5-foot wall here on an angle, and this is where I'm going to put bricks up and tile on the floor to sit the wood-burning stove right on the end of the kitchen counter. And then this wall here, this is the bathroom door to walk in through here. And on this side of the wall will be the bathtub, toilet, sink on the angled wall. And then you have the door here coming out into the living room. So that's what all this framing has been about. I just have to put up a couple horizontal 2x4s on this triangular piece right here, and then all this framing will be done.
Adding these last few 2x4s finish up the framing for the bathroom. Another cold, sunny day, and I'm bringing in all the rough sawn, knotty pine paneling I made a few months ago. Trying to get everything organized and cleaned up off the deck to make more room for more supplies to come over.
Well, I got all the homemade paneling moved off the deck here and into the house. I have to make some room. My 2x2s are coming back here next. And I had just got the kitchen bathroom wall done here, framed up. And I stacked everything inside what's going to be the bathroom to keep it out of the way and where I can chop it up and use it. I built this, I didn't really build it, but I set up this these sawhorses here in between the wall. So I have a little workbench on one side with the chop saw, and then I have another little workbench over here. I might get a little skinny piece of plywood, run down there, have myself a little workbench in here. But it's only temporary, it's just sitting there.
I grab the tractor and load up all the 2x2s I ripped down. 80 in total. This should be enough for the whole cabin. I drive them back to the A-frame and stack them on the deck. And start screwing them up to the beams in the cabin. I'm using that 3/4 inch board as a spacer to give me enough space to install the electrical wiring and to fit 2 inches of foam board insulation. These 2x2s will run up and down on both sides of each 6x6 post in the cabin. The 2x2s will also run on the sides of each joint where the 6x6 posts meet from the first to second floors, giving them more strength and less of a chance to move around. They go up pretty fast, so I should be able to get them all done by next week.
Well, I've got these strips here screwed onto these posts, and I put a 3/4 of an inch spacer here to get the proper thickness for the 2-inch foam board to fit. It's going to go from here to here, 2 inches, and these will run all the way up the roof line, over top and down the other side, both sides of each post, like so. So I've got a little closer look here. This is a 2-inch wide piece of foam board, which will lay in the wall like this, and then the paneling boards will be installed like this. So this is what the wall will look like. Before I can do any of this, though, I have to get the electric in the wall. I think tomorrow I'll go to the store and buy all the outlet boxes and 12-gauge wire that I need, and I'll have to start drilling a few holes and running the electric in the house. There's some nice spaces in the walls here for the electric, so any vertical wire that I need to run, I can run in this space right here all the way up from the first floor to the second floor, and any horizontal lines can be run in between this 1-inch foam board and the back of the posts. So about the only times I'll have to drill holes are at the corners where the actual wall meets the roof line. There's no way to get the wire through, so I'll have to drill a hole this way going through there. And then in these end walls here, you know, they're just studs. So then I'll have to drill out the bottom. I'll have to drill a hole through these studs to get the wires through. And then, of course, the wall that I just built here between the kitchen and bathroom is going to get a lot of outlets and lights. I want to put in a on this wall here. This is the angled wall. I want to put in a almost like a bath fan, just a little box fan that fits in the wall, and at the top then a pipe's going to come all the way down. I want to drill it in the floor, and once the stove gets moved over to this wall, when I have the brick and the tile up and everything, then this is going to be the hottest place in the house. The heat's going to rise up off the stove and the stovepipe, and then that fan's going to be up here, and then that's going to pump air down into the crawl space underneath the floor. And I'm hoping that that'll keep that space down there above freezing, and that'll help to warm the floor. That's one reason I didn't insulate. I planned on heating the crawl space, and with that heat down there, then the heat will bleed up through the floor and help heat the first floor. But yeah, things are coming along. I have to run all the strips in the walls up and down and get all of that done, because the electrical boxes will be attached to those strips. So I need those all in and done. Then I can start nailing in electrical boxes and running my my wires in the walls and ceiling. And then once I get all that done, then I can start insulating and paneling the spaces in between all the posts going up. I'll probably start down here on the first floor. I have a pile of paneling sitting over there that I made, it's probably going on 6 to 8 weeks ago. But that'll only get me about halfway done on the first floor here. I got a ton more to make. So I've got some 2x6s, a big pallet of 2x6s in front of the workshop there. I have to bring those in. And I got a lot of work to do to rip them down on the bandsaw and tongue and groove them and all that stuff. But things are progressing along pretty nicely. Every little thing I do in here with the insulation and weather stripping around the doors and windows and everything, really every little bit helps keep it warmer and warmer in here. Even with the fire going, shoved full of wood and the draft fully open, it's making a lot of heat. I mean, this building still loses quite a bit of heat, especially with the floors, because the cold air is just blowing underneath the floor, and they're only 3/4 inch plywood. So that's not the best situation there. So my feet are always cold, but I still need to put some flashing up top, because I can still see a little bit of daylight up top. I have to take care of that. Well, it was a nice day today. It was about 25 degrees out and not too windy. And for the next week or so, we're going to be in the high 20s up to the high 30s even. And there might be a little bit of a meltdown on the snow, and it might rain a little bit. For February, that's very unusual for this part of the country, but every once in a while we get a thaw. But December, January, I don't think we got really above freezing for those 2 months. Maybe one day it got above 32, but we've been in the negatives almost every night now for about a month.
It was a long 2 weeks here, but I think lots got done. Trying to stay warm in the sub-zero temperatures was the biggest challenge. The more I work on the A-frame, the warmer this stove keeps me. I just need to keep focused and keep working. This is the end of the video. Stay safe out there, and remember, life can be good sometimes.